Welcome to the Dr. Mary Louder podcast show, where we explore the messy, magical, and deeply human journey of healing. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Louder, a board-certified osteopathic physician, an accidental shaman, and a lifelong student of the human experience. Together, we're going to talk medicine, wellness, and culture in a way that's grounded, perhaps maybe a bit cheeky, but always from the heart. And don't miss Gadgets, Gimmicks, and Gotchas, my reoccurring segment where we lovingly call out the fluff and highlight the stuff that actually works. So grab your favorite brew, coffee, matcha, or that mysteriously green smoothie and settle in. It's time to get this party started with a strong dose of soul medicine. Our guest today on the Dr. Mary Louder podcast is Laura Boulay. Laura is a speaker, a writer, and a wellness advocate who believes that walking is one of the most underrated paths to whole self-health. Laura is the founder of 1 Million Women Walking and the Walking Women Community. These are two powerful spaces that help women reclaim their health, joy, and vitality, one step at a time. Laura is also the voice behind Letters from Laura and Daily Steps on Substack, where she shares soulful reflections and walking prompts to help readers reconnect with their bodies, with nature, and with purpose. As America's walking woman, Laura speaks about walking as a transformational tool for physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So welcome, Laura, to our podcast. Well, welcome, Laura. Welcome to our podcast, the Dr. Mary Louder Show. I'm your host, the intrepid Dr. Mary Louder. I'm actually not intrepid at all. I'm quite trepid forward. So, well, welcome and tell us about yourself and what we want to, and not only want to know, but what we need to know about you.
Wonderful, wonderful to be here. And thank you so much. A deep bow to you. Thank you for the work you do in the world. And thank you for the invitation. I just love sharing my passion for walking. So starting with your question, what do you need to know? I will tell you the most important and fabulous, life-changing, wonderful thing that I think everyone needs to know. Everyone needs to know this one. I became a grandmother last November. So it's just, yes, I am so over the moon in love. I don't know what to do. And so it's a whole new role for me. And I am fierce for the future, Mary. And I'm so, I don't know how to express it. I'm hopeful. I'm passionate. I'm in love even more. And that's kind of the way I am all the time anyway. But now it's like fuel. So that's the most important thing.
Right. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Underneath that, I am a mom. Yes. This is my daughter's daughter who just came into the world. And the backstory of how I became America's walking woman, just shrinking it down into a short version because there are long versions. So let's shrink it to a short one.
Yeah.
Walking has literally saved my life 3 times.
Okay.
And so I like to always take a pause and let that land. What do I mean by literally saved my life? This is the backstory, if you will.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I was going through a big life change that so many women go through. And many of us do go through it in midlife. And that is, I was going through divorce. And it really changed my self-concept. Like, who am I now? What does this mean? How do I move forward? So lots of unknowns, fiscal unknowns. I've always teetered. I like that word, teetered, on the edge of clinical depression as an adult. And so I could feel that coming at me. And lots of overwhelm, uncertainty, grief, deep grief. And one day I found myself sitting in my office chair, much like the one I'm in right now. And it was one that swiveled, like you can swivel all the way around. So Mary, I was literally spinning in my office chair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Spinning.
That's not a metaphor. You're actually doing it.
It was, yeah, there I was, literal Laura doing it. I was
Yeah.
doing it and also spinning in my head and in my heart. And I'm going to be very honest and say that my habits at the time were not supporting health. I was eating too much chocolate during the day, I was drinking way too much wine at night, and I was trying to think my way out of my situation.
Mhm.
And a moment of grace came to me, and a
Mhm.
little voice inside said, "You're not going to think your way out of this. You need to do something. Do something."
Mhm.
So I did. I put on my shoes and I walked out the door. And I lived in Minnesota at the time, in a very small river town, lots of hills. Up and down these hills I went. And it was an autumn day. It was rather cold outside. And I walked until I had jello legs. You know that
Oh,
feeling where you're
yeah,
just
I do. I
the
do.
jello legs.
Right.
And I walked until I had this sweat, cold sweat dripping down my side and tears and snot. I was a mess.
Hmm.
And I stopped because I was exhausted. And I stopped in this little park way up high overlooking the river. And all of a sudden it hit me. All of this beauty is here, but I've taken myself out of it.
Hmm.
I could smell a wood fire. Someone had started a wood fire,
Hmm.
probably the first one of the season. And that
I do.
it's, oh, it smells like coming home
I
almost,
do.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And those autumn leaves, and I could see the river below me, and sunlight was coming through the clouds and that silver on the river.
Yeah.
And I just realized, wait a minute, I'm here. I'm a mess, but I'm here. I'm in my body, not in my head. I'm in my body. I'm feeling whole. I'm going to walk anytime I don't like the way I feel. And that was the start.
Oh,
Honestly,
interesting.
the start.
Interesting.
And I walked a lot during those years. I
Yeah.
walked inside if the weather was terrible, which I mean in Minnesota, we can get some things. Walked inside, walked outside. If I found myself going down the wormhole of despair during the
Hmm.
day, I would get up and go for a 10-minute walk.
Hmm.
It was my self prescription. I walked my way to part-time employment, which I really needed. I
Hmm.
walked my way to a much more stable relationship with myself. My self-concept started to build back.
Hmm.
Now, this is just huge for me too. And I did not become clinically depressed, which was my deepest fear.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
put down the chocolate. I stopped drinking all the wine,
Right.
got healthy.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me. And then I began pursuing, why did this work? And I
Hmm.
am kind of a data geek, and I geeked out and found out all the science behind the transformational power of walking.
Yeah.
And now we're going to fast forward a few more years. And I was having some health issues that I know you and your listeners can so relate to, because my team was saying, oh, oh, menopause. Woo hoo, here we go.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, menopause, And
Right.
I thought, wow, right? Menopause. If this is menopause, how are we here, ladies? I mean, it was really
Hmm. Right.
so terrible cognitive problems, and problems with my vision,
That
aching
doesn't sound
joints,
menopausal.
right? So some weird stuff starting to
Hmm.
happen. And unfortunately, much too late, we got a correct diagnosis, Mary, which was black mold poisoning.
Oh, yuck. Yeah, I treat folks with that all the time.
I figured that you
Yeah.
would. And
Yeah.
so there I was, and it was a result of the home I was living in at the time, which was a historic home
Yeah.
that had not been maintained well. And I had to get out.
Yeah.
So fortunately for me, um, and this is a count your blessings moment, I was able to go and live with my sister and her
Hmm.
wonderful family. And I found a functional medicine doctor who could take me through a detox protocol long
Hmm.
distance. And so,
Nice.
hello, activated coconut charcoal.
There are a few things that can pull the mycotoxins
The
out, and that is one of
mycotoxins.
them.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Mhm. So
Great.
that was my 6 months of detox. Of course, my business crashed. Everything,
Mhm.
I mean, everything comes to a screeching halt, right?
Yeah.
When your health is on the line. And I walked. Now, my sister lived on an out island off the coast of Florida, the furthermost out island off Tampa Bay. And so I couldn't get lost, which is one thing we were worried about. No, I couldn't drive, zero brain function.
Yeah.
Seriously, just nothing made sense. But I could walk down her block and back, which I did. And then I would take my shoes off and Mary, I would walk right in the ocean and lie on my back and cry because it hurt so badly. Everything hurt.
Hmm.
My head hurt. I was terrified. Was I ever going to get better? I mean, what was this place I was in? It was just bizarre to me.
Hmm.
Um, and then about a month into it, I realized, hey, I'm walking a little bit further.
Hmm.
And then a month after that, now I'm kind of walking all the way across the island and back.
Hmm.
So thank heavens for my team, doctors just like you, who were
Hmm.
able to get in there, diagnose, and treat. And I just kept that walking going, kept that walking going.
Yeah.
And what we know about that, especially blue exercise, exercise by a body of water, is it lowers anxiety, right?
Hmm.
Lowers that cortisol load. And being in nature is one of the
Hmm.
most healing things we can do. This is what the
It
data
is.
is showing us now. So, wasn't I blessed
Yeah.
to be able to go to a place like that and heal? And also that I did heal,
Right.
right? And I'm sure that you've taken many patients through that journey where it has not been as smooth as mine.
Hmm.
Um, so, deeply grateful for that. And
Good.
I thank you. Thank you. It's a huge win.
Yes.
As I was recovering and my healthcare team said, okay, sounds like, you've got your feet back underneath you. Let's, start to build your business back up, start to go again. I had rented a mold-free home from a friend
Hmm.
and was starting to get some momentum going and we slammed into COVID-19.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Well, that.
Oh, that.
Yes.
Oh, that.
Uh-huh.
And my team said, you are on lockdown. You are still immunocompromised. You need to be by yourself, taking great care of yourself until we know what's going on. And if the early days, we didn't know what was going on.
We didn't. It was very fearful,
It
and
was.
I actually think rightfully so,
I
because
think so as
we
well.
didn't know, as a physician, what I recall, first of all, I got COVID before the lockdown
Oh,
from a
wow. Okay.
patient who had, what does this have to do with walking? I walked into COVID. There we go. Let's
There,
transition that. I
I
walked right
love
into
that.
COVID.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I walked into COVID because a patient came back from Italy that had
Okay.
the weirdest bronchitis I'd ever seen. So she had that Italian strain that took out
Yes.
so many people. And she ended up in the hospital. I ended up in the hospital. I was up trying to give a lecture at 9,200 feet because we lived in Colorado and I couldn't breathe.
Oh,
And so
no.
the logical thing was to go home to 5,000 feet because
Right.
I could breathe there. I couldn't breathe at 5,000
No,
feet.
of course not.
So when I did go to the ER the next morning,
Oh,
I arrived with an oxygen level of 76. And so, of which the doctor said, "Did you know?" And I said, "No. Had I known that, I would have led with that." Right? I didn't know. So, right. But to that point, in that situation, walking at any altitude was out of the question because I just couldn't
absolutely.
function.
Oh my gosh.
So, in the lockdown, did you then continue your walking? And that was like the
Yes.
third time that the walking really saved you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And again, walking in nature.
Yes.
I was out in the country
Hmm.
and there was this beautiful road that went through some cattle farms and it was lined with old growth oaks on one
Hmm.
side and
Nice.
evergreens on the other side. And they
Yeah.
touched overhead like, a canopy. So it was
Yeah.
this long, and I just called it my pathway of hope. and I named those trees. I mean, I just will
Nice.
tell you, I mean, the truth, it's just those trees became my friends.
Hmm.
Every step was okay, I'm going to get through this. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I literally feel, how do I want, oh, I'll just say it. It was a deeply spiritual time for me, Mary.
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
alone. I had my trees, obviously, cell phone, great. You can be in touch that way. But
Yeah.
um, there was so much fear and so
Hmm.
much overwhelm. And I just knew that if I would get outside, go see my trees, go for a nice long walk, breathe some fresh air, I would feel better when I got back.
Yeah.
Very simple. Didn't cure anything. In the moment, in the present moment though, right?
Yeah.
That
Right.
day I would feel better.
Right.
And if the anxiety, if the fear, if the what ifs, all the 3 a.m. what ifs are just evil.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
if they started coming back, get up and go for a walk, you know,
Yeah.
go hug a tree, like literally go hug a tree.
Right.
So that was the third time. And again, that was a terrifying time.
Hmm.
And I walked through it. And so those are the times that I really credit walking with saving my life and reuniting me with myself. And I love that word, reuniting. We connect
Hmm.
with body, mind, spirit when we walk. We connect with nature if we're fortunate enough to be walking in nature. And there is a reunification that I think we experience when we can get out there and be present and be with it all, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So
That's
that's the
interesting
backstory.
how you mentioned that because what you described in those three different events were obviously traumatic events.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what we know about the body's wisdom is that all trauma causes us to disconnect.
Yes.
We have to in order to survive.
That's right.
And so that level of disconnect could be this much, or it could be this much, or it could be
All the way out.
this much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what tethers us, what keeps us connected at that point, even though we're dissociated, our behaviors and sometimes addictions and things that allow us to stay connected enough to be on the planet still.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
it's too painful and we would leave the planet.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And so, in that situation, you had changed some behaviors,
Mhm.
with respect to some eating and drinking and things like that. So what did you find in the wisdom of your body that your body was telling you when you were
Mhm.
walking? There's that connection to nature, which is
Mhm.
lovely. But
Mhm.
then where did you find wisdom in your body? I mean, because I would
Mhm.
imagine sore feet, blisters, knee pain, back pain. I would think of some of those things that would go on if you're walking to your legs turn into jello, right? I mean,
Right.
stop me where I'm wrong on that one. But
Well, no, you bring up a very, very good point. And the first thing I want to say is despite bodily aches and pains, maybe even, despite several nights of insomnia, just from, stress, just from, oh my God, what's going to happen? Despite all of that. And this is an interesting thing. But the best way I can verbalize this is my body craved the walk.
oh, interesting.
Mhm. Didn't crave the chocolate, didn't crave the wine, right? Didn't
Yeah.
crave the binge watching television. My body literally craved the walking.
Hmm.
I would heed that call. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, um, to me, that was the most important self dialogue
Hmm.
to honor that. Okay, we need to go for a walk.
So when you were out there walking,
Yeah.
what did you find yourself in conversation with yourself? In
Yes,
conversation, okay.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Lots of conversation. Yes, yes.
Okay. Did you find that when you were walking, things tended to resolve?
Answers bubble up.
Hmm.
Answers bubble up. Um, I believe it was Socrates who said, "Solvitur ambulando." It is solved by walking. And then Stanford University came in and did the study on that and said, well, walking is proven now to increase creativity 60%. Aha, walking is a problem solver.
Yeah.
When I was going through divorce, and I had worked in my then husband's company, that was my financial stability, and that was not going to be anymore. And I needed to work, and I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea. Again, a midlife woman going back to work outside of it, the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing that we all know that story. I was on a walk one day and that inner wisdom sort of popped up and said, well, what, your interests, what would your ideal job be?
Mm-hmm.
What would your ideal job? And so it was a question that bubbled up out of that wisdom, that problem solving place that walking takes us to.
Mm-hmm.
Bubbled up. And I thought, I would genuinely love, now this is a while ago. I would
Yeah.
love to learn more about social media, and I'm very, very good at organizing things. I would love to be a personal assistant to an author who's about to publish and learn more about that.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, I had that job.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I had that job.
Nice.
So that was a powerful moment. And also with the mold poisoning, not dismissing the initial diagnosis. My team was doing their very best to figure out what the heck was going on. But on my walks, I kept hearing that inner voice saying, we're not there yet. We've
Right.
tried the black, is it black cohosh, all the
Yeah.
good things that should,
Yeah.
the evening primrose oil. I mean, all the things,
Yeah.
right? But that underlying really feeling bad was still
Mm-hmm.
there. And so I kept going and saying, we're not there yet. Let's do another blood panel. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
So again, that wisdom rising up, rising up. And
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
would say,
interesting
yeah,
because
go ahead.
physicians can't diagnose that which they don't entertain.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, and by and large, people in general, and I'll throw physicians under the bus since I'm one of them, are down on what they're not up on.
Yeah. Very
So, no,
true.
it can't be that. You must be okay, you know. And if our head was so big that it carried everything that we supposedly had, our head would be falling off our shoulders. It's all in your head. You're just imagining this. I mean,
Yes.
those things are so dismissive to a patient, so dismissive to humanity, so dismissive to the human condition.
Yes. Yes.
And I always said things like, and so how is this? Wait, I'm going to pause for a minute in our pause cast here. How is this relating to walking? Well, I was walking down the hall the other day thinking of it.
That was very good.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
looped,
Yeah,
no, you looped that right back in.
I
That was like
did.
boom. You
But
stepped into it, lady. Boom, bada boom.
I did do, a lot of walking as a resident because it
Okay,
was just, floor after floor after floor of the hospital,
sure.
and you're on your feet for 12 to 14 hours a day. And so it did give a lot of time to think, and I found that I did some of my best thinking when I was between cases or between floors or I had the notes from the ER having to go up to the floor to admit the patient. And then it was like, oh, yeah, I got to do that. Oh, I need to think of that. And
Yes.
so in that situation directly, and thinking about mold and mycotoxins, I remember in 2006, I took care of a patient in Colorado who was intoxicated, as it were, from the mold in the Eisenhower Tunnel, which for
Oh,
people, the Eisenhower Tunnel goes through the mountain, right? It's up
yes.
at 10,000 feet. And his office was there, and the walls were dripping with black mold. And he had all the symptoms that I came up with as mycotoxins.
Yeah.
And like he had the microscopic colitis, he had
Yes.
um, uh, eosinophil esophagitis, he had
Mhm,
chronic sinusitis, he had
mhm,
fibromyalgia, and
mhm.
I even presented a case in court for him to get disability.
Oh,
And the judge said, and the opposing doctor for the other expert witness said, this just doesn't exist. And I have a stack of articles. And I just remember saying, I don't know how you can say it doesn't exist just because you haven't heard of it. I said, when we have a stack of articles and we have a patient here that has exactly what all of this says. And so, you know,
Mm.
when we enter, what happens with patients when they're challenged with something like this is very much a part of what your journey was. They keep walking until they find the answers.
Right.
Whether they're walking in their soul, whether they're walking in their head, whether
Yes.
they're walking in their relationships, because whether they're walking in, online information, they're
Mhm.
just really trying to find. And it would be interesting to see the information from Stanford if they did not only walking, but if they did like swimming.
Yes.
They did, other things that were aerobic in nature. And then you take that walking, maybe you take it to an extreme. Extreme walking, I would call running or marathon running, right? Or ultra marathon training
Mhm.
or ultra bicycle training. And there's now a lot of women in our age group that are ending up with cardiac disease and osteoporosis who were elite athletes
Mm.
because they did too
Too
much.
much.
And so, but what I'm hearing in your story and your understanding is, we're not walking for the Fitbit. We're not walking for the, pure exertion of it, although that's part of it because it brings us to where the endorphins kick in.
That's
It
right.
brings us to that release where sometimes we can just give in and give up in a good way
Yes.
because we just don't have it in us to fight anymore.
Mhm.
So it's like we're punching at the air. We're walking on the terra firma until we just, like you said, we're jello.
Yeah.
And so we go, okay, now what? All
No.
right, I surrender to whatever I need to surrender to,
Yes.
which is totally different than giving up.
Oh,
100% different.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Surrender is frequently the next step.
Mhm.
But because of our culture, because of what we've been told we need to do and we should do, shoulda, woulda, coulda, get in there and, gut it out, grind harder, do all these
Yeah.
things ugh, that ultimately wear us down to the bone, right? And I mean, we could go down a wormhole on that. So let's don't. But I think we all know where we're headed with that.
Yeah.
So there's one path, and then there is another path, which is take that next step. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just a step of grace.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a step of, and I believe in this very deeply because of my own experience and the experience of women that have shared their stories with me. Maybe it is literally a step of faith
Hmm.
that something will arise, that
Hmm.
some answer will come.
Right.
Right. So there is a deeply spiritual side to this very basic activity
Yeah.
that's really good for you.
Right.
But when I see it, I see whole self help, body, mind, and
Yeah.
spirit, and
Yeah.
connection,
Right.
connection to neighborhood, connection to where you're walking. You
Yeah.
know, those things are so important in the midst of our loneliness epidemic, especially. So, yeah.
Yes. So how did you go then to create this million? I had a hard time saying it. 1 million women walking. Am I
You
saying
got it.
that right?
Yes, you've got it.
Okay. And developing that, creating that,
Mm-hmm.
and then, tell me the story behind how that all fell into. Tell me the steps in that. How's that for our walking analogy?
I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
I love I love that, and I love all the bad puns. I'm hoping we can
Yeah.
come up with some really good
I'm,
doozies here.
I'm sure we can. We'll try not to trip. We'll keep going. Is this something two left feet can do? I don't know. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
oh, you're on a roll.
I know. Typically I am.
I love that. That makes me really happy. To answer your question, yes. So after I recovered and was getting my feet back underneath me from the divorce,
Yeah.
I really did geek out. I
Yeah.
geeked out on walking. And I mean, I started reading some white papers and some studies. I went down the wormhole of data, which was
Yeah.
massively satisfying, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of a data geek.
Hmm.
Because it did a couple of things for me. It validated my personal experience. And because I had been in such a fragile place, it was nice to have some data validating my experience.
Right.
And it also inspired me. I started thinking about, well, now wait a minute. If walking has done this for me, wow, what could it do for other women?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, and this is a few years ago now, and I looked at what we were saying to ourselves and what the culture was telling us about this is what a workout looks like, this is what healthy looks like. Da da da, you've got to do this. Ooh, you got to do that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda over here. And I looked at all that noise and the pressure,
Right.
the pressure, which has only gotten worse. Let's
Yes,
just call it.
that has.
Wow, it has only gotten worse. And I looked at that and I thought, no, 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 time out, time out. Get a decent pair of shoes and walk out your door.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so I was very inspired to share not only, what I had learned, but my own experience, because we are
Mm-hmm.
a storytelling species. We love those
Yes, we are.
stories. So that is where it came from. And I was literally, once again, my cute mom and I had gone to Florida to visit my sister, and the three of us were walking down the beach talking about it was a low tide,
Mm-hmm.
those beautiful, elegant low tides that just are magic. And we're walking down the beach, and I was, sharing this urge. I said, I really want to do something with this. I want to do something with this. And I think my mom said, well, how many women do you want to get walking? And I said, 1 million women walking. Boom. And there it
There it
was.
is. Nice. Nice. So how many do you have? Can I ask for a head count?
You can absolutely ask for a head count. And I appreciate that question, because what has happened since the birth of that idea, I have gone through, I think, 5 iterations of community. Also
Mm-hmm.
went through mold poisoning and quarantine. So there's been some real stop start. Right now, I can proudly say that I have impacted well over 1,000 lives, which is
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
Nice.
And yes, and I am now looking at the next iteration of consolidating my virtual walking community with all of the information that I've put together and kind of put it all under one roof so that it's a
Yeah,
bit more organized. So
right.
yeah, yeah, it is my purpose work. It is the journey of a lifetime. I feel like walking is phenomenally underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had people say, well, that's not very sexy walking. I'm like, wow, exercise needs to be sexy now.
Apparently,
Where
apparently.
did this happen? I am floored sometimes.
Um, I think it happened in the wellness revolution, the self-help revolution, that
Mm,
was taken to an extreme on the pendulum.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because I think we've got, if we look at longevity, instead of just healthy living, now they're trying to biohack.
Right.
I do not biohack as a physician. I refuse to. And I work with genomics, and we
Yes.
literally work with the blueprint of who the patient is. And so the guessing goes away.
Right.
And when we come to the section in that lifestyle report of genomics about what type of activity you're meant to do, it
Mm-hmm.
shows if your endurance, power, how much recovery, how well you might do your VO2 max, which is your training capacity.
Yes.
And so we literally can create for that individual a plan that fits their genes.
I love that.
Yeah,
Absolutely tailored to them
yeah, yeah,
and maximizes their health and if I'm hearing you correctly, their potential for success
right,
as they define it, in
right.
their own. Yes, I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. We aren't all going to be great swimmers. We aren't all going I do not run. I
Uh-huh.
absolutely
Yeah, I don't run either.
it is not
I,
my thing.
if I need to run from a bear, that's not going to happen.
I have to say that's a very funny thing because just 2 weeks ago there was a bear in the backyard,
Uh-huh.
and but it was headed for the apiary where the bees are. So I actually went down and chased it off. Just
Yeah.
a little bit of reverse psychology there when I realized, Laura, you're in the backyard barefoot chasing a bear. You might want to think about this.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Was it Winnie the Pooh looking for honey?
It was Winnie the Pooh looking for honey. It really was. And I was like,
Ex-
nope, you can't do that here.
Oh my goodness.
I love
So
what you just mentioned, though, about how specific it can be.
yeah.
And then for someone to know, and that's with that capital K, that's the
Yeah.
knowing,
Yeah.
this is for me.
Yeah.
So that feeling from the inside out of, okay, yes, this is my path. This is my next step, right? I love that. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
great.
And I think, I wonder in one of my inspiration questions here,
Mm,
thinking something powerful in doing something so simple as walking. And it's really quite radical. And we talk, my sister and I, she is a instructor out at one of our local universities, and she has developed fitness courses and a variety of
mm.
things and we always chuckle about the college students who say they can't get their steps in. We're like, how old are you and what are you doing? So we chuckle about that,
Yeah.
right? And so and she is a big walker. My brother's a big walker. Our mother was a big walker. My dad, not so much. Me, I always wanted to ride my bike because you can
Oh,
coast, even uphill. You could coast, and so and you get there faster.
you
And they're
do.
like, "Well, don't you want to walk?" I'm like, "No, is there a shortcut?" And so I confess, walking, I'm like, I'd rather do something else.
Sure.
But bowing to peer pressure of my younger sibling, my
Mm,
sister, I said, okay, fine, I'll get out and walk 1 to 2 miles every day, no matter what, and so then just kind of doing that. But and I find what I find in the walking is because we always take our dog Lucy, who's a Labradoodle.
oh, nice.
And I always find I like the lower heart rate zone.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be zone 2 because I can get in just a nice walk, that nice rhythm.
Yes.
Lucy's a good walker in that rhythm, and she's also a sniffer as a Labradoodle. And so she stops, and that's part of her routine, which is actually a lot of that's very invigorating for a dog to do that. So a 20-minute sniff is like an hour walk at a fast pace for a dog. So it's very interesting how she has that's kind of her idea of coasting, I would say, would be to sniff.
The sniff. I love that.
So but I think about that instead of having to have that big workout in the gym,
Yes.
the class after class after class.
Yes.
Um, Walking could be a way that not only would you find your form, but it could be, if you wanted to be a little cheeky about it, could be rebellion against everything that's going on
Yes.
because you can find your sweet spot.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's somewhere in the middle of working out that I think is where we should arrive at, where we get the physical benefits, but we're
Mm-hmm.
also getting these other benefits because I know if I do a bike ride that's too long and too hard,
Yes.
I have difficulty sleeping. Why? Because there's cortisol pumping around.
There's so much cortisol. Yep.
And in my genomic report, um, if I do a little bit, I get really inflamed really quickly.
Okay.
That's my
That's,
genes.
yeah.
And so I have to really do something, but then really recover.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would speak to the logic of walking. That would speak to the logic of being able to, just go out the door, put your shoes on, and number one, be in nature. Number
Oh, yeah.
two, connect with nature.
Yes.
Number three, connect with yourself,
Mm.
you
Yes.
know, and then the gadgets can come in terms of, how am I doing? What am I clocking?
Right.
What's
Right.
happening?
Yes.
And I do have to manage folks that bring me data from their Aura Ring and their data from their iWatches, and they want to, I would say, go down into the nth degree of fixing something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so then what I do is I say, what if you were to not measure? How would that make you feel?
Oh, yes. This is a really interesting, and I think a key point, a key point that I would love to just take a moment to really shine a spotlight on and maybe even focus on um, what happens when we put down the device.
Yeah.
what happens when we put down the device and maybe just get crazy and leave it behind and walk out the door and kind of go into just some basic structure about, okay, I'm going to walk 4 blocks that way and then I'm going to come back. And a brisk walk. Well, a brisk walk is a pace. It's again, we're not measuring, but a brisk walk is loosely a pace where you could still talk, but you can't sing. Okay. All right. So, you're not killing yourself out there. You are not speed walking. This is not the Olympics. You're just, and what would it be like if I really listened for birds? Okay, so those are the criteria. Here we go. Devices at home, 4 blocks that way, 4 blocks back, right? Brisk pace, right? And I'm going to listen for birds. What would happen? You'd hear birds.
You would.
You would hear birds. And then the cascade of all the goodness would start inside of your body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
And this is just this thing about, can we use the devices to support us, but not to tell us, not to rely on them. They have become false gods, if you will. They're great. If you've got the Merlin app and you want to know what bird is that's singing, oh, it's so much fun. So much thinking fun.
Yeah.
But hear the bird first.
Yeah.
Hear it. Do you know what I mean? And
this
is something I really encourage women to do. And it's interesting. I cannot recall right now who published this study, but it's a very recent study, Mary. And the results were that midlife women who take that moment to go outside and walk feel like it is the only time they can, wait for it, breathe in their day.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
It is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is free. It is waiting for you. Your walk will meet you. It will rise up and meet you wherever you are. There is tremendous freedom and empowerment in that. But the device can pull you out of it. The device, I feel like, can pull you out of the magic, right? And if we are hyper measuring everything to tell us whether we did well or not, then we are taking away the joy and the magic of hearing that bird, feeling the sun hit our face, right? Literally smelling, the fresh tilled garden. We're taking that away. And those are the things that benefit us the most.
Yes, I would agree.
Don't I sound like an old dinosaur here?
No, you actually sound like an old soul who's found something that we could all probably connect in with, is really what that sounds like.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering if I lost my train of thought here. If of the oh, well, I forgot. It will come back to me.
It'll circle back around.
Yeah. So then the other part that's interesting is you're saying with the walking, women do this that will help them with their creativity, with their business.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I am a huge proponent.
Yeah. So have you done consulting with women regarding their careers and things like that? Or do you do any coaching that people talk about? Yeah.
I do. Yes. Yeah. And, I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years. I'm an author. I am a speaker, and I know what it takes to continue believing in yourself. I also know what it takes to make sure that you refill every day. It is so easy. I'm preaching to the choir here, and I know that, but it is so easy to empty the tank and then keep running on empty, because guess what? There is one more thing to do. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. Years ago, I was in Nashville. This is my favorite example of this, at Vanderbilt University, which is a national arboretum. It is one of the most stunning university campuses, beautiful walking campus. And the head of oncology and hematology, and I had struck up a friendship, and I was asking her, okay, now, are you walking? Beautiful campus. Are you walking? And she said, I know, I know, but there's always one more thing to do. And I said, yes, there will always be one more thing to do. Make sure that thing is you. Make
Yeah.
sure that thing is that, just even if it's a 12-minute walk from building to building outside, make sure
Right.
that thing is you. So yes, I do have, within my virtual women's walking community, we really look at that. Are we refilling every day? And I also have some VIP walking journeys that I do one-on-one, to make sure that self-care is sacrosanct, which is one of my
Hmm.
favorite things to say. And
Hmm.
the steps can be it.
Yeah.
There's the self-care. Also, if you can weave walking into the fabric of your business, can you do a walk and talk meeting with a colleague,
Hmm.
right? Can you do some habit stacking between, if your day is packed, and so many of us have those
Hmm.
packed days, can you do some habit stacking and say, okay, on these packed days, right after my 10 a.m. meeting, I'm going to go for a 12-minute walk. 12 minutes has been proven to be effective.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So like
Okay.
little mini walks. I call them little
Yeah.
mini walks. Yeah. So
Okay, so you've got that. So okay, so what I'm hearing is in between a meeting, you could schedule a 15-minute break
absolutely.
and you
Please
could do
do.
a 12-minute walk, 3 minutes to the restroom,
Yes, absolutely.
either on either end of that, right?
Yes.
But then that walk could look like where you're just carrying on a conversation but not singing,
Right.
right? So your
Right.
heart rate's up a little bit.
A little bit.
And then
Mhm.
you could also then target something to listen to
Mhm.
outside.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Birds.
Birds.
Sometimes you can really hear trees rustling, the
Yes.
leaves.
Yes.
And, something like that would be something I would enjoy, the wind. And yeah, and then also I often aim to focus in on a plant or
Yes.
two.
Mhm.
So that means stopping and smelling or looking at the hydrangeas or the lilacs,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
gosh, we've got six raspberries on our new bushes, those types of
yeah.
things, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And
Do you
then
ever
also,
stop and touch them?
I do,
I do too. I
I
love that
do.
moment of, ooh, how does that feel?
Yeah,
Also
I do.
proven to be so good to lower that
Yeah,
stress level.
I,
Yeah.
I I do that with our planters because there's
Mm.
petunias and marigolds and
Oh, nice.
different things, so different textures and smells and things like that.
Mm,
So okay, so we've established it how healthy that can be. Some
absolutely.
people um, may be intimidated by how do you start.
Yeah.
So some practice of this because
Mhm.
it's like, well, gosh, I don't even know if I've got the right shoes. I
Mhm.
know, okay, so fine, I won't do an iWatch. Okay, fine, I won't do an or okay, fine, I'll stay away from technology, but don't I need to have a good pair of shoes? Don't I need to have some practice? So what are some practice that our listeners can use to start their journey?
I love this question. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. So to start your journey, first thing is, yes, you need good shoes. Good shoes are just foundational for
yeah,
walking. Good shoes are foundational for walking. I would highly recommend speaking to, I mean, you could start with a podiatrist, but you could also go to one of your local sports stores that typically have someone who understand the different, you've got Asics, you've got New Balance, you've got Nike. These are running shoes. These are tennis shoes. These are court shoes. These are walking shoes. They can look at your foot, and they
hmm,
can actually help you, right, to create
hmm,
a foundational piece that really works for you. It's going to make it so much more fun. So much more fun. Another piece that sometimes we overlook is good socks, wicking
hmm.
socks, that give you some support in there too. Many years ago, I interviewed a wonderful woman who walks every day. She is a university professor. And she said, I was asking her for her advice, to women who were just starting their walking journey. And she said, and I love these words, Mary, she said, treat your feet like the goddesses they are.
A good
Like,
one.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
yes, shoes are important. And then we need to look at context. Is it hot out? Is it cold out? Comfortable clothing,
Hmm.
sunblock, a hat. Here's one that I think too many of us just think, oh, I'll do that when I get back. Hydrate. Let's hydrate
Hmm.
before we walk out the door, right? Let's
Hmm.
hydrate. And then I like to have a go-to route for my
Okay.
longer walk in the morning and for my short walks.
Yeah.
Go-to is a comfort. You would know this, and I can't pull this data right now, but how many decisions do we make during a day?
I don't know, more than one.
Exactly, right? And so
Yep,
decision fatigue is a real thing.
it
Have a
is.
go-to route and have your go-to clothing. You don't have to make a decision. You're good to go. All
That's
you
a
have to
really
do,
good that's a
right?
really good point because
Right.
you could even, have a couple designated outfits, as it were.
Yes.
Some
Yeah,
fit,
absolutely.
they call them fits now. You could have your
Yes.
fit. And so then you could have that ready to go.
Yeah.
And you can lay that out if you need to change.
Yes.
And then get your shoes ready, have them by the door
Have them
or
by
by
the
the
door.
couch or wherever.
Hmm.
And then your socks. And then, have your water ready
Right.
and then just put it in your calendar. I have found in building businesses and being an entrepreneur that you have to literally block your time.
Yes, you do. I agree.
Yeah, you can't just like, I'm just have a day of work. Well, a day of distractions. You need to have, block 3 hours for, charting or 3 hours for business planning or
Yes.
meetings.
Yes.
And then you have to like not look at email. You have to not answer the phone. You have to let things go to voicemail. You
Hmm.
have to not get distracted because you literally need to block your time.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've always said that about fitness too. You need to block your time.
Right.
So if you're working from home or working in an office, you block your time 15 minutes for a 12-minute walk.
That's right. Yep. And
Yeah.
that is perfect. And for some people, the way the way that block of time is named,
Yeah.
if it says walk, okay, not quite as inspiring as self-care refill, right?
Yeah. That's a good
Fresh
point.
air break, right? Like give it a heart tug, give it
Skinny
something that
dipping in nature. Oh, wait, we can't.
bam. Is that
For
15 minutes?
I don't know. It might take longer.
I
Or
think
forest bathing. They talk about forest bathing. Yeah.
Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing, yes, but something that sparks you, something that
Yeah.
makes you say, "Oh yeah, I want that feeling." So name it as a feeling, right? Give it
Yes.
that, oh yummy, give it that thing where you go, "Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I get to do this," right?
Right.
And then again, the go-to route. And look at is it tree lined, is it shaded, are you going to be in the
Mm,
sun, and think about when is your best time, right? I
that's
love
a
a
good
morning
point.
walk, right? I love a morning walk, but there is some fabulous data that's been coming out recently about the power of an after dinner walk, which you can do with your family.
That's a huge thing. That
It's a
sets,
huge thing.
yeah, that helps with digestion.
Yeah.
The research I've seen helps with digestion, helps with blood sugar and metabolism,
Yes.
and it helps with sleep.
Yes.
And
And
so, yeah, and it
yeah,
helps. And so I think it also helps with that 3 a.m. cortisol surge.
thank you. Ooh.
Because I think what's happening is there's a reset there in the evening, and then that cortisol surge you don't have as much built up to surge.
Yes, there's not as much
Yeah,
doing
because you've
the
used some
3 a.m.
things.
volcano.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
because you've gone through, you've used some
Right.
energy, you've used a burst of energy, you've
Yes.
digested some food, and it tends to settle more that circadian rhythm.
Yes. And that's a
So,
huge
yeah.
thing for women.
And
Huge.
the other thing is safety. Okay, so if you're
Yes.
walking
Yes.
at different times of the day where the light
Yes.
could be compromised, meaning dusk and dawn,
Right.
please, reflective vests.
Absolutely
Please
reflective
know the
vests.
traffic patterns.
Please do
Please
that.
walk against traffic. You
Yes.
ride with traffic if you're on a bicycle, you
Yes.
walk against
Yes.
traffic.
Yes.
please.
Yes.
And that is so important. You need to see the traffic coming at you.
You need to see the traffic, and the traffic needs to see you. We do
Yes.
not want to see any
Right.
more pedestrian deaths. It's
Right.
just ridiculous. Several years ago, I sat down with Dan Buettner, who was the founder of Blue Zones, and we were
Hmm.
talking about walking, and we were talking about, okay, what are the basics? And he says, you need three things, and I have been preaching this ever since. You need it to be accessible.
Hmm.
So, in other words, here we go. It's not, I have to get in my car and drive an hour to get there. You will not do it.
Right.
You're not going to do that. And don't put that load on yourself. Accessible. I love this next one. Beautiful
Hmm.
and safe.
Yeah.
Boom. Beautiful is something that is very subjective. Downtown
Hmm.
Chicago, Manhattan. These are beautiful places for some
Right.
people. They are for me. Our national parks and wilderness areas, also beautiful
Hmm.
places. But if you can find some beauty that is more immediate and accessible for you, you are much more likely to go there. But
Yeah.
make sure it's safe. Make sure it's safe. And I've also spoken to women about two other issues in safety that I think is worthwhile going to here. Other people, like
Hmm.
if you're a solo walker, which I am, other people and wildlife. Okay. So, and these are things, I mean, these are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things in the world, right? I am a solo walker. And so the things that I do to ensure a sense of safety is I do understand where I'm walking and when I am walking. And I make sure
Hmm.
that there are other walkers there.
Yeah.
This is an interesting thing because we start to connect. You
Yeah.
had mentioned earlier walking your dog. Dogs are one of the most connective things that we have right now.
Right.
And you start to recognize the dogs and the humans. And so, even though I'm a solo walker, I am walking with other people in well populated, well lit areas that are designed for walking and cycling. They are multi use trails, right?
Yeah.
In the national parks in the wilderness areas where I have done quite a bit of camping and hiking and yes, walking, I am very respectful of wildlife. I am
Hmm.
aware there is wildlife there. If there is something going on that the rangers have spoken about, I respect that. Then
Hmm.
guess what? We're not going to go on that trail. And so what I've told women, because not all of us are comfortable, with the snake slithering across the path, and not all of us
Hmm.
would recognize the poison ivy we just stepped into. So
Hmm.
learn that environment. If it's a new environment, approach it with curiosity instead
Hmm.
of fear. If you can approach it with curiosity and what would I like to learn here? Just me personally,
Hmm.
what would I like to learn here that would make me
Hmm.
feel safer?
Nice.
Right?
Yeah. The
There's so many
anxiety should
beautiful
just
places
drop right there when you do that. Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there. Just what would I like to know? And then the thing is, and I share this, there's always something beautiful and magical waiting for you out there. Always, always, always,
Yes.
always.
Cool. That
It is
is
a
really
rule.
cool.
Universal
Exactly.
rule. There you go.
All
Okay.
right. So tell us how the women can get, and well, I'm sure you'll take men too, but how the women can get involved in the 1 million women walking. How can they reach out? How can they find you? What do they need to know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
1millionwomenwalking.com. It's spelled out ONE, Million Women Walking. That is the
Okay.
primary website. You will find 4 free reports. They are tailored to specific stages in life, specific needs. One of my favorite ones is my top benefits of walking for women. And go grab a free report and download it and prepare to have your mind blown. It's really,
Nice.
I mean, yes, it's my geekiness too, Mary, but there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, then, if you would like to walk with me on a daily basis, join my virtual walking community, which is
Okay.
thewalkingwomen.com. And it's a great place for solo walkers. Um, and we have all age ranges from mid 80s down to probably 30s. And
Mm-hmm.
we are actually all over the country and all over the world. We have a wonderful lady
Nice.
who is a day ahead of us in Australia. So that's really
Very
fun.
nice. Yeah.
And then I am also an author on Substack. On Substack, Letters from Laura is my publication on Substack. You can look for lauraboulay.substack.com, I think is how you'd look it up. Letters from Laura. And I have a section on there called Daily Steps. And I drop a walking prompt into your inbox, men or women, every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. A little data, little inspiration, quotes from great walkers. You know, we have so many men and women who have walked this path before us, who have just dropped some beautiful words of inspiration. And so that is another way to connect with me and with this work that I am doing. That is just a low level point of entry. It's just like, get your toe in the water, take that next step, daily steps. So those are the ways to connect. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, this has been very inspiring.
Thank you.
Because as mentioned,
as previously mentioned,
I would rather jump on my bike, but I'm actually kind of now intrigued to change my walking pattern.
Wow.
And I mean, I swim in the fall and winter 3 or 4 times a week,
Wow.
and I do other
That's
things,
wonderful.
you know.
Yeah.
And right now, you know, and then I'm not. All of a sudden, I feel like what am I doing? I'm justifying. I'm not justifying anything. I mean, I do other activities,
Sure.
but I recognize the simplicity and the
Yeah.
wisdom and the value in the
Thank
walk.
you. Thank you.
And I think that's one thing that it's kind of smack dab in front of you, and a person might just overlook it as being too simple.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
How can it be effective? I have
And
been asked so many times, is walking enough?
it is. The answer is yes.
Yes.
And I would say if anybody could take anything from this podcast today, that would be what they could take. Walking is enough.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then to follow that up,
Yeah. Hmm.
you are enough.
Yeah.
You absolutely are enough as a human.
That is the deepest message ever. That's the
Right.
one to bring home. Yeah.
And so on those two things, I just don't think we can take another step. So I want to thank you again, Laura, for being our guest. And I look forward to following your journey and look forward to connecting, and hopefully our readers will too. And I wish you well getting all the way to 1 million. I think that'd be wonderful.
Thank you so very much. It has been an absolute joy to have this time together. I deeply
Yes,
appreciate you. Thank you.
you're welcome. All
All
right, take
right.
good care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hi, friends. Dr. Mary Lauder here. Here's another episode of our Gadgets, Gimmicks, and Gotchas. So, where we're separating the science from the snake oil in this wellness world. Today's topic, walking technology, or technology used for walking. It's the smartwatches, the step counters, and the walking apps. They all promise to keep us on track, right? Let me be clear though, those aren't the enemy, and I do love a good heart rate check after a brisk walk. And smartwatches can track our steps, our distance, and even the variability of our heart rate. That can be valuable information. If it's in service, this information is in service to our goals, but not our guilt. So here's the gotcha. It's when your self-worth is tied to a 10,000 step streak or whatever you're wearing around your wrist or your finger, you've probably crossed into the gimmick territory. In our podcast today, we talked with Laura Boulay about walking for transformation, healing, as well as fitness. But we often end up hustling for approval just because of a silicone band on our wrist. So here's the soulful prescription about the walking technology. Take at least one walk a week without your tech. No app, no tracking, no pressure. Just your body, your breath, and the sound of your own rhythm. And look around and absorb your environment. Hopefully you're in the trees, in nature, plants, rocks, water, simply being on a gentle trail. Because sometimes the most powerful walks are the ones we don't measure at all, but rather they simply bring us into the awe and the wonder that is around us. So see you next time on our next episode of Gadgets, Gimmicks, and Gotchas. And remember, walk with your senses, not just your smartwatch. Be well. See you soon. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Dr. Mary Lauder podcast, where our guest today was Laura Boulay, and we were learning how to walk. putting one foot in front of the other. And sometimes that's the most important thing to do, and knowing that we can just start by taking the first step. So why don't you take that step and share this podcast with others and rate and review it and give us some feedback. That always helps us do better and helps other people find us as well. And we look forward to you being here next time. If you have any questions at all, reach out through our website, drmarylauder.com, and we look forward to helping you and serving you. And we look forward to helping you just transform and regain and maintain health all the way through your life. Be well and enjoy your day. That's a wrap for this episode of the Dr. Mary Lauder podcast show. I hope you've heard something today that made you think, laugh, or say, well, now that was a plot twist I didn't expect. Just remember, your health journey is more than lab results and supplements. It's spirit, soul, and story, and sometimes a gadget or two you probably should have returned. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please share our podcast with someone you love. If you didn't like the show, well, maybe don't tell anybody then. And if you want more soulful medicine, curious conversations, and tools that actually help, visit me anytime at drmarylauder.com. Until next time, stay kind and stay curious. Music today is provided by Mr. Dave Evans. He composed, played, and engineered this song specifically for our podcast, and it's called Soul Strings, an acoustic reflection of the healing path. Thanks, Dave. It's great music.